Guess what, everyone? USC may have lost 48-20. You survived.
You are Locked On Trojans, your daily podcast on the USC Trojans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Fight on, everyone. I'm your host, Mark Holkin, and thank you for making Locked On USC your first listen. Whether you're watching this show on YouTube or wherever you're going to download your podcast, this show is free. I appreciate your support. You can show your appreciation too. If you are watching on YouTube, become a subscriber. It's easy. It's free. Click the red subscribe button. And when you see this, the thumbs up, smash it. And I never want you to miss one episode of Locked On USC. Click that bell notification and you are covered 5 times a week, plus post-game reactions. This show is sponsored by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Let it be written. Get her done, coach. But, these were Lincoln Riley's words following USC's demoralizing and embarrassing 48-20 loss to Notre Dame. Quote, we got to go fix things that we got to fix. We got to go coach and play better. But is it in our power? Is it something we're capable of? I believe it to my core, and we're going to go fight our ass off to get it done. Awesome, coach. Strong words. We keep hearing it. Now you need to talk. Now you need to walk the walk. We keep hearing the talk. When it comes to Trojan fandom, I am typically a rah-rah type of guy. I've been known as a homer. I think I like to walk. I walk right down the middle of the line, but hey, you guys tell me. However, after I listened to Coach Lincoln Riley close his post-game presser, again, following a 48-20 loss to Notre Dame with those words, I don't think there was anybody who was ready to run through a wall for him. I know I certainly wasn't. But you know what? You know what matters? That the players in his locker room are ready to do it on Saturdays. That's all that matters. If those guys are willing to run through a wall, we need to see it happen. Because against Notre Dame, in a game that each program literally, when the schedule comes out, both programs circle the calendar. That's their game they're looking forward to the most, besides the first game of the season, obviously. USC didn't look like they were ready to run through a wall when that day on the calendar approached. It looked like the wall caved in and fell on them. So what needs to be fixed first? That's what we're going to talk about here in the first segment as you're looking at the rundown. I guess the question is, what side of the ball do you want to start with, right? Maybe that's the answer. It's with the coaching staff, starting at the top. For head coaches, controlling everything is a challenge. I mean, they want to be on top of every little detail. You're on top of the staff. You've got the players. You've got to put together your game plan. You got to be able to adjust the game plan on the fly. And then when you're in the game, you have to factor in clock management. Learning how to best use your time and resources, that comes with experience. Lincoln Riley is well ahead of the curve when you compare his age and where he's at in his career. He's on the fast track. But even the best head coaches, they have their blind spots. They have areas where they need to improve, right? I think some of Coach Riley's areas were magnified this past Saturday. Clock management and being able to adjust to what you've done before, what you're comfortable with. Clock management is an in-game thing. That comes with game experience. But kind of a rhetorical question. I'm not sure if Lincoln Riley has ever been to Eugene, Oregon, but I'm thinking maybe a walkthrough helps, right? That way he doesn't have a similar type of bush push gazing when he first arrived in Notre Dame Stadium, 2.5 hours before kickoff. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But other blind spots, I think, for Coach Riley include loyalty and having a belief over the productivity, what's happening. There is another area that needs to be remedied, and it needs to happen like muy pronto, yesterday, post haste, as quickly as humanly possible. The Trojans' offensive line needs to find its rhythm and find their physicality like now. You didn't have it against Notre Dame, and you got Utah coming into town this Saturday. Right now, that offensive line, they are out of sync and they're getting pushed around. There's no other way to say it. And all of a sudden, Caleb Williams isn't able to do many of the things that he was able to do last season. Other teams who USC has played before, they've got plenty of game film, and they've seen this act. They figured out how to defend against Superman. So at a certain point, the offensive line needs to assert itself, and they need to stop being tossed around. Michael Tarquin, right tackle. I'm not pointing fingers at individual players. I'm pointing at individual situations right now. He was replaced by Mason Murphy again, second game in a row, early in the game. At this point, if that's going to happen, let's just make it permanent, right? I mean, if it means shuffling the entire offensive line, we can start with the interior. Then let's give it a go. Let's see what sparks the offensive line. Here's a suggestion. Let's move Jarrett Kingston back from right guard to left tackle, where he played all last year at Washington State. Let's put Jonah Monheim back at right guard. I'm not saying he's doing a bad job at left tackle. I'm saying let's pick things up. Okay? Let's see what that looks like. See how they respond. And if Emmanuel Prignon is going to continue to struggle at left guard, again, it's an interior offensive line issue right now for the most part. Although the bookends, everybody has a part in this right now. If that can't get remedied, here's another suggestion. Let's move Justin Diedick from center to left guard. Let's give Killian O'Connor a shot at center. Again, we're just trying to see what works right now. I'm sure they do this in practice. They need to pass protect better, and they need to start owning it up front. Because right now, they ain't owning anything, anybody. They need to protect. They need to do better. And that will also help fix the running game. And what I would like to see is a commitment to run on short down situations, particularly second down, third down. Move the sticks. And let's not do it from a shotgun formation, please. The bush push is now legal in all 50 states, right? Line up Caleb under center, put 400 to 500 pounds of humanity behind him, and push him past the sticks. The wide receivers need to work harder on getting separation, right? Too many times, Caleb has no one to throw the ball to. And that's when he has time to look downfield. And that, I would say that's a good 60%, 70% of the time. It's not like he's constantly running for his life. This game, you might say, well, this game, he was running for his life a lot. And he was. But each of these things are well within Coach Riley and Coach Henson's purview. Remember, Coach Riley is the head coach and play caller. Coach Henson is, figure quote, the offensive coordinator. What I need to start seeing is I don't want to hear any more talking about we're going to do it every week. Start showing it on Saturdays. In other words, let's walk the walk. No more talk the talk. What about the other side of the ball? Okay. I'm going to set a really low bar because we're past the halfway point of the season. Continue to get better with the fundamentals. That's the quickest thing the defense can do to get better at this point because they're not going to change the scheme. On special teams, here's my quick fix. If you cannot kick the ball out of the back of the end zone for a touchback 9 out of 10 times, kick it out of bounds. Trojan fans, I know you're stressed out from that Notre Dame game. You can stop stressing out trying to get tickets. Download the Game Time app. With killer deals on last-minute tickets and their best price guarantee, you can stop stressing over the tickets and start getting hyped for all the fun you're going to have. Forget planning months in advance. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the day of the event. You can get exclusive flash deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy theater, and a whole lot more. The game time guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of that difference. It's the fastest growing ticket app in the country for a reason. Get images of your seat when you buy so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. And you can buy tickets in a matter of seconds. 2 taps, boom, you are done. And the tickets are sent directly to your phone so you never have to go digging through your email to find them. Snag the tickets without stress with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Prize Picks. Yeah, they are the largest independently owned daily fantasy sports platform in North America. They are the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. It's just you against the numbers. Instead of battling thousands of other players, including the pros and the sharks, you pick more than or less than on a 2 to 6 player slot projections, and you're just going to watch your winnings roll on in. Prize Picks is a skill-based, real money daily fantasy sports game. Prize Picks offers projections on any sport that you watch, including college football, NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, NHL, PGA, college basketball. You pick 2 to 6 players, and if they will go more or less than their Prize Picks projection, you can win up to 25 times your money on any entry. At Prize Picks, you aren't competing against other people. It's just you versus the projections available. Here's an example. USC will score more than 40 points against Utah's defense. The Trojans defense will allow less than 30 points to Utah's offense. Caleb Williams will have more touchdown throws than interceptions. Prize Picks offers a recently improved deposit and withdrawal experience, including the option to use Apple Pay for quick deposits into your account. You want to talk about security. Wow. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnCollege and use code LockedOnCollege for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnCollege and use code LockedOnCollege for a first deposit match up to $100. The college football season is here, and this season, Locked On is kicking up our coverage. Each Friday, Locked On will go live from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern on every Locked On College YouTube channel. Locked On College Football Live will cover the college football playoff implications, the college rivalry games, and go in-depth like only Locked On can, including insight and analysis from our stable of Locked On College hosts covering their team every day. Find Locked On College Football Live from Friday 11 a.m. till 12 p.m. Eastern on any Locked On College YouTube channel. You won't want to miss it. There weren't too many positive takeaways from Saturday's game. In fact, how about 0 takeaways for the USC's defense? On offense, on special teams, I think Zachariah Branch, he almost sprung a punt return. That was a positive. I'm going to try and give you some positive numbers, some positive situations from this past game. Again, there weren't a lot, but I'm going to see what I can do for you here. I mentioned Zachariah Branch. He almost had a punt return for a touchdown. Close doesn't count. He did have 4 punt returns for 86 yards. So that's 22 yards per attempt. That's going to keep moving him up in the national ranks with that kind of those kind of return numbers. Total yards for Zachariah Branch, and he was pretty much, I guess, the bright spot for the team on Saturday. He had 166 total yards, 17 rushing yards, 17 passing yards, 46 on kickoff return, and I mentioned the 86 yards on punt. And don't forget, he's still not 100% healthy. Now, with that said, he did almost turn over the ball a 6th time for USC. He did recover his muff, fortunately. The rush defense. You know what? This is a positive. excuse me, they held Notre Dame to 125 rushing yards for the game. Their big, bruising, powerful running back, Audric Estime, they held him under 100 yards, and he needed 22 carries to get 95 yards. That's a full day's work for any running back, and you're going to kind of just say, hey, great job, defense. You didn't let Notre Dame get off running the ball. Their offense really didn't do a whole lot, to be honest with you. I talked about that on yesterday's post-game reaction. Go check it out. There's a lot there to go over, and trust me, you're going to enjoy that show. Here's another positive, special teams. Dennis Lynch, he was good, 25 yards and 48 yards away on his field goals. Eddie Zapliski, 3 punts. Each one of them averaged 50 yards per kick. I'll take that every day and twice on Sundays. You keep kicking it like that, Eddie, and you will be playing on Sundays sooner than later. Despite having their backs against the wall time after time, let's not forget, USC's offense gave the ball away 5 times. The defense, I think, probably played their best game of the season. And they probably have the most positive takeaways from the game. Look, I know these two go hand in hand. Short field for the offense equals shorter yardage gained. Nevertheless, USC defense, they still only gave up 251 yards of offense to Notre Dame. And you can also take 14 points off of their ledger off those 48 that USC gave up total. That 99-yard kickoff return, that goes against special teams. And that Xavier Watts scoop and score, that goes against USC's offense. Speaking of Xavier Watts, he's picking that Jules Shillelagh on his own personal tour this week, I would imagine. Man, what a performance. What did he have? 2 interceptions, forced fumble recovery, scoop touchdown. He can have whatever award he wants. And if he wants that Jules Shillelagh, let him have it. He earned it. You know what else the USC defense did? They only gave up 125 yards. I mentioned this, on the ground. And that isn't too bad, especially against a Notre Dame team that likes to run the ball. Their defense was also really stingy on third down. Their conversion rate, they only gave up 3 third downs to Notre Dame out of 10. I like that number. Let's carry that over to Utah, against Utah this Saturday. I don't know their numbers, but this one should be pretty straightforward, an easy formula to figure out. According to Pro Football Focus, the defense only missed 2 tackles. That's right, only 2. And that would have put them as the best number in the Pac-12 conference for missed tackles. I'll take that every day, every game. If that's true, good job, defense. You're making the tackles. I do remember 2 that you missed, so maybe those were the 2. I think they missed a couple more than that, but we'll let it go. Again, I thought this was the defense's best game, considering the situation they were under. Playing on the road, offense giving absolutely minimal help. And there was a lot of penalties too. So the defense gave up 36 points. You guys might remember I gave, heading into the game, I gave a prediction USC would win 45-31. So I wasn't that far off. Because look, I don't think anybody, you, me, even Notre Dame fan, was anticipating USC turning the ball over 5 times, let alone taking points, a touchdown off the board because of a holding penalty. With the game's outcome, it might have changed. I don't know. But I don't get the benefit of hindsight. It's now time for your Game Changer of the Week, brought to you by Athletic Brewing Company. I had to look far and under a lot of rocks and through a lot of leprechauns to find this, but How about Zachariah Branch's 166 total yards? He's just a freshman, folks, and he's not healthy. The same way Athletic Brewing has completely changed the non-alcoholic beer game, this freshman continues to change the way other teams have to prepare when he's on the field. In one of those games where the smallest thing stands out, Branch's almost punt return for a touchdown was his play of the game. And because Athletic Brewing's brews are non-alcoholic, you can enjoy more of them. Before, during, or after the game, Athletic Brewing makes non-alcoholic beers that actually taste good. You can find Athletic Brewing Company's non-alcoholic brews at a store near you or buy them online at athleticbrewing.com. First-time customers, you can use code LOCKEDON to get 15% off your first online order. That's code LOCKEDON at checkout for 15% off at athleticbrewing.com. Near beer, exclusions and conditions apply. Athletic Brewing Company, fit for all times. Okay, so I like to live life in, I won't say the slow lane, but you know what? Sometimes it's better to walk. Pay attention to the details. Smell the roses. Understand your surroundings. Get familiar with where you're at. Last week, before USC took off for South Bend, Indiana, Greg Katz, someone who I work with over at wearesc.com, if you watch Inside the Trojan Huddle, the weekly podcast show that I'm on, you know exactly who I'm talking about. He asked Coach Lincoln Riley if he'd ever been to Notre Dame Stadium before. And Lincoln Riley said, no, never been there before, never played there. But Lincoln Riley did say he'd seen the movie Rudy a bunch of times. Quote, certainly when you get there, you get a chance to take it all in. We're human too, obviously. And this is special, Riley. This is what Coach Riley said on Saturdays, the morning of Saturday's big noon kickoff show on Fox. One of the things that I told myself when I took this job was that I'm going to do a better job of appreciating the opportunities we get to come and play inside such special venues and get to play in special rivalries. We'll take it in for a quick second and be appreciative that we get to play in this great historic game before getting locked in and getting ready to go. I've got a couple issues with that statement. Number one, a quick second? No. Wrong, no, bad answer. That's not appreciating this rivalry. This rivalry is built up throughout the week. You have special guest speakers come in, former players who have left blood, sweat, and tears on that field. They tell these players why this rivalry is important. You don't spend a few seconds walking around the stadium when you first get there Saturday to appreciate it all. That doesn't work. So let me ask, would a walkthrough the day before have been, would that have better prepared USC? I don't know. Would it have lessened Caleb Williams' chance to throw 3 interceptions or for the team to have 5 turnovers on offense? Would it have prevented special teams from giving up that 99-yard kickoff return for a touchdown right after you scored a touchdown to start another comeback? Would a walkthrough the day before have better prepared USC? I guess hindsight is 2020. I don't have the benefit of that. What I do have the benefit of is a little bit of history and acknowledging how things have been done in the past and how they might have had an effect. Look, I'm not sure if a day before walkthrough changes any of how the players execute on the field. I don't know. However, since Lincoln Riley took over this program 2 years ago, he's turned the roster over, right? So there's literally only a handful of players left who have ever been to Notre Dame, let alone walk onto that field or play in a game. So is there something to glean from Riley's? This is what I noticed when the team arrived. And I asked this because when they were, doing their walkthrough. They got off the bus, walked through the tunnel, got on the to the stadium field. I noticed Coach Riley. He was walking on the south end zone. That's where the Bush push happened. And he's kind of gazing, looking around the rim of the stadium. You can see the Basilica. You can see Touchdown Jesus at the opposite end. And I'm thinking, maybe Coach Riley would have been less taken in with the history and everything and the ghosts of past had they done the walkthrough the day before. I don't know, just throwing that out there. Does any of that wear off 24 hours earlier? If they do that walkthrough, or on a Friday instead of 2 hours before kickoff on a Saturday, that way, for all those players and staff members who have never been to Notre Dame Stadium before, they can get that out of their system as well. This is what I remember. When Pete Carroll used to take USC to Notre Dame, he used to pay attention to the little details. And it's not just Notre Dame. Pete Carroll was detail-oriented. Lincoln Riley is the same way. But he's still learning how to coach. Pete Carroll's got like 30-plus years on him in coaching experience. One of the things that Coach Carroll did for USC was he had that big man against big man walking game. Everything was a competition, even a walkthrough. What that was is you had the offensive lineman versus the defensive lineman. And it was kind of like a 7-on-7 thing. And you couldn't run. It was fast walking. So imagine a 350-pound quarterback throwing a pass to a 360-pound offensive lineman, and you got a 330-pound Cedric Ellis or somebody, Sean Cody, walking as quickly as they can, trying to chase down that offensive lineman before he gets to the end zone. That's the type of thing, those types of things lessen the stress of this type of rivalry game, relaxes the team. So when Saturday rolls along, hey, you know what? They're ready to play. That's the gold standard for USC. Winning championships and being told that we're close, USC fans don't want to hear that. No more. USC is always close to winning a championship when they've got the right guy in charge. Riley is going to be that guy, but I think he just needs to make some adjustments along the way. Again, he's still learning how to coach. He hasn't been doing it that long. But when you're at a place like USC and before that Oklahoma, there are high standards, and every single thing is going to be under the microscope. So, again, you, me, we have the benefit of hindsight. We get to call things with clarity after the fact. But when you take into account some of Lincoln Riley's words and how the team performed, they don't match. They're kind of like oil and water mixing. Again, you need more than a few minutes. He was compartmentalizing it, but you need more than that to appreciate this rivalry. I think a Friday walkthrough would have helped big time. I'm going to be back with another episode of Locked on USC tomorrow. When you're done watching this episode, and if you haven't seen my post-game reaction, again, go check it out. In fact, that has been the most watched episode of Locked on USC ever. So thank you. And let's make this episode, let's get this episode past that one. So until that next episode of Locked on USC, everyone, you know what to do.